my contact. Don't do anything weird, zooms and like just.
Okay.
All right, let's round of applause for the principal. Right? Good. All right, yep. So my name's Matt. Known Dan for 30-some years. We grew up together since we were 8. And I accidentally got in HR. No one goes to school for HR half the time. It's boring. But we have significance in the world, so I start off as a recruiter, kind of kicking the tires, not knowing what I was going to do after college, like everybody else, most of the people, and wound up in recruiting. That kind of segued to where I'm at now. I've owned my own business since '09, and I've got employees, and I've helped hundreds of candidates every year, clients. So essentially, all I'm trying to do is just give people career clarity, right? So like figuring out what the hell we're going to do with our life. It's scary. It sucks. Life's hard. You guys have about 4 years left with your parents umbrellaing you, and then after that you're like, shoot, I got bills, I've got things, and it's like a rude awakening. And essentially, people that stick around in high school, like they're struggling. My friends I know, we know kids we grew up with. I've got siblings that could care less about school, and guess what? They're 50 and they're not happy, and their house is small. Not that that's significant or anything, but for me, I don't want to live in a 1,000 square foot with 5 people. Doesn't sound pleasant, right? And if some of you have that circumstance now, you probably know how it is. You're like, I gotta get out of here, right? So like, help yourself when you're older by doing stuff when you're 20. Because your 40-year-old self will be like, thank God I have my stuff together. Your 20s are just meant to not screw up the rest of your life. Your 30s are meant to kind of start getting going, right? So then the 40s and 50s you can thrive and then get the hell out of the workforce. Not everyone's gonna have a linear path. I didn't know I was gonna be a business owner. I took a leap, and I wouldn't go back. I could never work a 9 to 5 again. I will fight tooth and nail to not ever do that again. So, knock on wood, just keep doing my thing. But I parlayed my career in a few things. My problem was after school, I was recruiting, but at night I was writing and acting. So I was trying to be in Hollywood. Like you said, I was out in LA. Been in some stuff. I wasn't Bad Moms. I was the dancing stripper Santa. If you guys want to see me. I was just in Outer Banks. Somebody watches that. I was a trained engineer. What was that, episode 5, I think? But yeah, acting's hard. It's not, one person there might be an actor, like in Hollywood. I mean, it's such small chances. But anyway, my point is, you can get creative in life. You don't have to just have accountant, and that's it, 8 to 5. Now, if that's fine for you, right? Some people are like my brother. He was fine with just being a truck driver, coming home, cashing the checks. We're fine. He's fine with that. But people that are ambitious, or you have some drive and hunger, that stuff will make you nuts. And then what happens is you can't formulate a plan of attack, right? You can't figure out where you're gonna go. And that's where you help people, that's where you people like me to help, right? So I always say this, start with stuff that gets you going, that really gets you excited, passionate stuff. And start with logics. If you wanna be a pro golfer and you're just learning to golf, well, logically, it's probably gonna take 10 years. But if you wanna be a musician, you've been playing trombone since you were 5, well then hell, take a dive. You guys are young, take a dive. I mean, I wasted 10 years trying to act. I could have probably built my business up better had I took it more serious the first 10 years, but I was so like mission driven of being in Hollywood. And essentially, it's okay to tinker around and kick the tires on stuff. In fact, I have a 5-year-old, and I don't know if I'm gonna send him to college. I think I might just start a small, boring business at 16 with him, cleaning backhoes off construction sites, something real boring, and what happens in 20 years, he's a millionaire. Right, so small business stuff is legit. If anybody's not interested in school, I'm always an advocate of go and start a small business and just take your lumps and just start it and go. And you'll figure out how to do it. I figured out, I'm a moron. So trust me, do whatever you think is gonna get you excited to go to work, because the last thing you wanna do is essentially go and have a deadbeat job, right, 40 hours a week, and then you got your kids at home and you're like, man, I can't even see. Hey, come on. It's just distracting, sorry. So then essentially, when you guys have all this stuff in your life, you have all these kids, you have all these bills, you have all this stuff, if you have something that keeps you happy, you ain't taking that home. You're not yelling at your spouse, you're not yelling at your kids, right? So these are the kind of things you're like, I don't care right now, I'm 18, 19 years old. Perfect, that's why I didn't care either. But in 10 years, you're gonna go, shit, please have my stuff together so that my 40-year-old self isn't so bogged down. Okay, so how do we do this, right? We start off passionate. We start off pragmatic, logical, right? Can we be a pro golfer? I don't know, maybe, maybe not. But can I be a musician? Maybe, maybe not. Can I be a tax attorney? Because my dad's a tech, I always just really love numbers. Well, that's pretty logical, right? You go to school and you study that, right? So figure out first off what excites you and what's logical, and then start to reverse engineer how you're gonna get there. So what do you got, certification, maybe a 4-year, if you want to be a doctor, go to school for 10 years. You ain't gonna be able to be an MD if you don't. So there's certain pathways that are just what they are. And if you don't want to play the game, then don't go be a doctor, right? Don't make excuses. I can't do this. My manager sucks. These people, and people with excuses, by the time you get in the workforce, we just don't hire you. It's that easy. We don't need to worry about your livelihood. The goal of livelihoods is I have value, and you're going to pay me for my value. Well, if you're worth shit, then no one's going to pay you. Sorry, you know me. If you're not worth anything, then why should they pay you? If you're working at McDonald's in high school, like I was a server, I was working construction sites, cleaning up stuff. You know, we did things in school, right? So it's brainless, I didn't care, I didn't think twice, I was just doing the motions, stocking shelves and whatever, right? So that stuff's fine, you're still learning skills, but don't be so like consumed with, what am I getting out of this? Some of that stuff's just boring work, but it still gives you underlying subconscious stuff, work ethic, teamwork, project management, whatever. Customer service, right? So these are the things that start the foundation of what you can offer to an employer. That's all we care about in the workforce. If I'm interviewing someone, my goal is you're convincing me not to waste my time. You're gonna convince me that you're not a POS, because everyone who comes to me is a POS when I see them. They're just people that are gonna leave the job after a month, they're not gonna get through training, we're gonna take forever hiring them, and then they're gonna leave after 6 months, and it sucks, because hiring is long and arduous, it's expensive, so that's why it's hard to get into companies, because there's checks and balances, so they're not spinning their wheels. So you as a candidate, how are you gonna be that person in that room? You have value, and you're showing that value to them. I am a darn good accountant, and I can do this stuff, just look at my resume. And then they're gonna go, okay, this person has some value, and then you go in there and you just be a normal person, and just explain why you are their Tylenol or their headache. And so essentially, we reverse engineer your path, right? We're trying to figure out what we wanna do. There's gonna be about 5 different pillars of what you need to do to actually physically get going, right? The 5 pillars, you're gonna need a resume, and a cover letter, kind of put those together. You're gonna need a LinkedIn for most people, not all professions, but most people will need a LinkedIn. You're gonna need interviewing training, because you're gonna have to get interviewed if you want someone to pay for something. And then you're gonna need job hunt training, because not everyone can just go to Indeed.com, hit submit, and have a job. It takes a lot more than that. And then you're gonna need personal branding. The future of getting hired is personal branding. We are at the cusp of like this huge conversion of, hey, how am I gonna hire people as a hiring manager? Well, we used to just get resumes, and then we used to just pop over to LinkedIn. Well, now we're popping over to all the socials. How's this person interacting out there? Recruiters and hiring managers are nuts. They will go and look at comments you left, not effing around. So everything you're doing with your digital footprint now may impact you later. Not to say you guys are out there spewing off stuff, but any little bit of residue, it might or might not come back. So it's like, just start kind of being mindful of your personal brand in 20 years. Will probably get you hired over a resume at that point. I mean, I'm not saying it because I still need to get clients to write resumes for, but it's a dying industry. We're moving towards digital, we're moving towards branding. Social media just threw that stuff at us. When me and Dan were getting hired, it was just resumes. We didn't even have LinkedIn, right? So if you do these 5 pillars and you take them very serious, and you do them right, you're at least on your way. Now, having said that, let's peel back a few of these, right? So resume, my resumes aren't even snapshots anymore. Mine are sales sheets. If you want to be an accountant, I don't care about all your work that you did as an environmental scientist. Scrap it. Now I want to know what you did as an accountant. And even if it's just from your education and projects, whatever. My goal is to sell myself as an accountant, not this environmental engineer I used to be, right? So the resume needs to be this calling card. And keep it real short and concise. The least amount of verbiage with the most impact you can make. Right? So 3 buckets where I put my content in. 1 bucket's with reverse engineer what you want to do. If you want to be an accountant, go look at job descriptions, see what the stuff says, and then go figure out what have you done and get it on the resume. And then the stuff you haven't done, go get it done. Go figure out how to upskill and go get that certification, because now you're making yourself more valuable, more worth, more money. Right? So that's the first bucket. Second bucket's operational. Give me some metrics. Sales, efficiency, time, stuff that matters, bottom line, right? If you're working for somebody, money matters. They like to know that you care about it too. So throw it on the resume. They'll appreciate some numbers. And then third's anything unique. So if you have any speeches, awards, or like high profile clients, right? So this is stuff to start thinking about as you put together your brag book. As you go through your career over the next couple of years, write down some cool stuff you've encountered during work. Hey, I got this award. Hey, I got this speech from, or this client gave me this testimonial. My manager praised me for this project. Get these things so you can put them on your resume. That's the first thing, right? The resume. Second thing, LinkedIn, just match it with the resume. That simple. Match it with the resume. As hiring managers, we don't need two different views. Just keep it simple for everybody. The interview training. Interview training is the idea of interview is having confidence. How do we have confidence? Knowing what you're talking about. How do we know what we talk about? Look at the job description, reverse engineer from there. Okay, well, what are we going to talk about off the job description? Well, there's 5 things that you can do off the job description. Let's talk about those 5 things. Wow, that makes sense. Okay, that stuff works because you're in the same sandbox as the hiring managers when you're talking about the stuff that they're doing all day. So think in terms of, I'm going to go in there with confidence. How do I do that? Having more research and knowledge of what I'm going to say. Not going in there and improvising like I'm doing this today. I can improvise this because I've done tons of these, but I don't. If I go in an interview first time with 𝗪𝗿𝗇𝗲𝗃, or what is it, Deloitte? I can't remember. It's like you're going in there with like an accountant role, and you know that there's an accountant job there. If you're not looking at the job description or going on their website and doing a little bit of research, you're gonna go in there and just, you know, kind of have the face of like, shit, what am I gonna talk about? And then you just start spewing off whatever, and then they can tell, and they're like, well, sorry, 75 grand's going to the next person. That's why it's important to research and always look at the mission statement, core values, that kind of stuff. Companies love when you bring that up in an interview. So that's the interviewing, right? The personal branding, again, I would say as a subject matter expert, you want to put your expertise out there. But if you don't have any expertise, well then go hang out where the expertise is and start to get it in your head. And start to build yourself with the knowledge of the industry you want to be in. I just got into real estate 2 years ago with one of our friends. I didn't have a clue. I'm not a handy person. I hire people. But he got me to understand some of the stuff, the intricacies of when we're doing flips and property stuff, right? We're trying to make money off selling houses. Well, now after a year and a half, I've surrounded myself so much with this industry, I'm learning stuff, right? So if you put yourself in the circles of where you want to be, you'd be surprised in 6 months how much more you'll know. And you'll be able to talk with a lot of industry people then. Well then, eventually you're gonna have some knowledge and an opinion. Well, share that stuff. Put it on a piece of, or put it on a board or whatever, some LinkedIn comment or post, whatever. Just get yourself out there. Have a nice profile on LinkedIn where you're showing your brand off. Again, it's the future. I'm just telling you now. So get on it. If you're gonna be a person on LinkedIn, I'm not saying, if you're gonna be a pro baseball player, don't worry about it. But if you're gonna be an accountant, yeah, if you're gonna be a lawyer, if you're gonna be anything, analyst, salesperson, marketing, but LinkedIn's definitely gonna be helpful as kind of your home page. And that's essentially it. I mean, essentially, my point is that the people that mess around, they struggle later. It's fun to have, it's fun to go smoke some weed, drink some beer. I'm 18 years old, I'm just partying, watching Entourage. You can watch that more, but it's like, you can't do that stuff. You gotta take life serious. Because then it's like, it's gonna hit you in the face. And like he said, people take a year off. Telling you guys, unless you're like a traveler that can afford it, and on Instagram, and you're getting, you know, 1 million followers, and they're paying you to do that, which that's another world. I don't know much about that stuff. I know it exists. Cool. Then you can go and do whatever. But guys, if you don't have a plan of action, taking a year off is not a good idea. You gotta have a plan at least. And now, let's say you get out of school here, and you're like, I don't necessarily want to go to college yet. Like he was saying, military. I'm advocate of small business. I love the idea of starting a business. It doesn't have to be this complicated algorithm. You're gonna start some website that's, you know, Elon Musk is gonna buy in 10 years. I'm talking just ABC landscaping. Go cut some lawns for the summer, see if you like it. See if you like being a manager, an owner. And it's not that hard to own a business, trust me guys. You don't have to like do everything right the first time around. You go and do somebody's lawn and you ask them for money, and then you ask them for a review, you put it on your Facebook page, and then you market yourself. Marketing and sales, that's all you're doing all day if you're gonna start a small business. But I can't advocate it enough, man, I'm telling you. And there's a lot of old people getting rid of their businesses. So if you're savvy enough, you can go just buy one. If you get your parents involved in something, go buy Texas landscaping. He's got 30,000 clients. Cool, so just some ideas of the future of how you can find your way in this world. It's daunting though, but this is why I'll just keep reminding you that the people that lean on mom and dad too much, then they go to college and they lean on kind of this instructors will kind of guide me, and people will kind of guide me into what I'm going to go and do and get my hours completed and all this stuff. Okay, cool. You still kind of lean on it. Mom and dad at home still maybe insurance, money, but then all of a sudden it's like that day comes and it's like, whoa, how much is my bank account? Okay, my car, I probably need a new one. I gotta get a rent. I gotta get a new apartment. I can't stand living with Dan anymore. So these are the things that will start to really be a reality, and you don't want to get shook, because then mentally it starts to mess you up. I've been through the ringer, and mentally, and it's like, when you're in a dark place, it takes a little while to get out of it, but there is hope. You can, but you gotta start putting pieces together, right? And a lot of it is to do with your livelihood, because it's a livelihood. I mean, how many people worry about money all the time, right? I mean, maybe not as much right now, but eventually money will be like what's keeping you up at night sometimes. So yeah, I mean, that's kind of the nutshell, but I just hope you guys just take life seriously. It stinks. It stinks. It's awesome, but it's like, man, it's daunting, especially when people are relying on you. I got a kid, and I got another kid coming. It's like, oh boy. But so who's anybody here considering starting a business after school? Like, yes. Let's go. Hit me up. Tell him to give you your number. I'll tell you anything you need to know, buddy. I'll be glad to help. I'm telling you guys, it's such a cool idea. Who's anybody going to be a theater major? Any actors? All right.
I have a family member that wants to be my sister.
Nice. All right. Get it. Tell her to go to classes. Get an agent. And work
She
for free.
already
Does she?
Yeah, she has everything. She was in what was it? Black Phone.
Oh yeah. Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
So she's everything. She's always doing acting stuff.
I was just going to tell you, if you are, just find a backup in case.
I mean, my mom spends $500 worth of sodas for.
Oh yeah, it's expensive. Yeah, so anything that you want to do that's super aspirational, just have a backup plan. That's kind of where I was going with that. It's like, yeah, it'll get you pretty hard. But any other questions? What's going on? Anybody got any thoughts, concerns, worries? No? All right. Anybody like Ohio State? Anybody going to Ohio State next year? Or Notre Dame? Yale?